Hi everyone, my name's George and I'm the product manager for chemical anchors at Hilti. Welcome to another episode of Hilti Live. If you've got any questions whilst you're watching, pop them below and someone will get back to you quickly. So today we're going to be talking about installing chemical anchors. Now, we all know the traditional method of doing this. You have a basic drill with your normal type of drill bit. You have your blowout pump to clean out the dust and your brush. And then finally, you just have a manual dispenser to inject the chemical. Now, this works a lot of the time, but there is some risk involved in this process. For example, in the cleaning stage, you've got the risk when it comes to the blowout pump and the brush. First of all, it might not even be done on the job site. And if it's not done, you risk not having a safe installation. The reason for that is because these chemical anchors work by bonding to the concrete. And if there's a layer of dust within the anchoring point, and it's not been cleaned out, that chemical is going to bond to the dust instead of the concrete, and then as soon as the load is applied, it's just going to come out, or it's going to have a much lower load value. So this is a risk because it might not be done. The next part where you have a bit of a worry is with the dispensing. Now, for sure, these work fine on the job site. You can toss them around, they're all good. But the problem is it's super hard to control exactly how much volume you're putting into the fixing. And so the reason we like to look at these is because there's a lot of wastage involved in this part. Say you're installing your chemical anchors and you're putting a bit extra in each hole and you're having a lot coming out of the top. That's money being wasted every time. And so it's another area where we think we can improve the process. So that's what you normally do. I'll just put these down here quickly. Now, at Hilti, two of the main places we use chemical anchors are for rebar applications, so installing rebar rod, or just for anchoring with base plate using these studs. And the way we install them is with a system called SafeSet. Now, what is SafeSet? It's really in the name, SafeSet. So the main point of this system is all about making sure that your fixing is set as safely as possible. It gives peace of mind to the designer and to the person installing it. The other side of that, though, is productivity. Not only can you install your fixings as safely as possible, but you can also install them as quick as possible. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. So what makes up the SafeSet system? We start with the vacuum. So this is one of our VC10s. And this is a portable vacuum, which can have a backpack or come with you on the job site. And it's on our Neuron platform, too. So it's got a big battery in the back here. This is connected via a tube to one of our special hollow drill bits on our drill. And what this does is it has hollow channels inside that when it's running and the vacuum is running, it's going to automatically suck up the dust whilst you're drilling the hole. What that means is that we can completely remove the cleaning step from the process. So not only does that give you a safe installation because there's no dust in the hole, you don't need to worry if the installer has cleaned it or not, and it's going to be set perfectly. But it's also much quicker because we removed the cleaning step from the process. Instead of spending 20 to 30 seconds using the blowout pump and using the brush, you just drill your hole as normal. So it's really quick. And then the final part of SafeSet for chemical anchors is the dispenser. So this is our new dispenser, the HDE 522, and it comes with a lot of smart features. Again, it's on our Neuron platform, so you can use it with any of your other tools. The battery is the same. But we have a lot of features here, and it's all about making sure you're not wasting any of the chemical anchor you've bought. It's expensive stuff, and every milliliter extra used is wasted money. So we have a few nice features on here. We've got a display light that tells you when the installation is complete, and if there's any problems with it, it'll turn red. We've got some settings on the trigger, which mean that you're always going to fill the hole to exactly the volume you need. And then we've got a little wheel for selections here, where first of all, you can choose how much you're going to discard. And then you can also set specific volumes to install based on the hole size. And then we've got a continuous mode and a repeat mode. But I'll show you how they all work a bit later. So as I say, SafeSet system is all about installing chemical anchors. There's three really easy components here. And with these three tools, you can complete your installation. So I think it's best if I show you how to do this. And I'll take you through a little installation on this slab here. So to start with, I'm going to put in the chemical. So for today, I'm going to use HY170. This is one of our premium anchors. It's a lower cost point than our HY200, which is the main one. And this is designed to be used for everyday jobs that need some loading. And of course, it has all the ETA approvals. Now, the number one thing I hear when it comes to our chemical anchors is that we're far too expensive compared to competition. Now, of course, per tube, we are more expensive. But I'm going to show you today that using this full system with this anchor, we can actually be not only the fastest solution on the market, not only the safest solution on the market, but actually one of the most cost-effective. And I'm going to show you how with this demo. So let's load this up. So we're going to put the chemical into the cartridge holder. We take our dispenser, we put it back all the way, and then we just slide this in. Super easy with some nice satisfying clicks. Always push that forward and hold down this back button. And then you just screw on your nozzle as so. And we will come back to this later. So, getting to the actual installation part, let me put my PPE on and then we'll go through that. Okay, perfect. So, we're going to start by drilling our hole. So let's take the VC10 and the drill. And then I'll move this down as well. So I've already marked out, I think it's 90 mil on this drill. So I'm just going to drill down 2 holes and then put in some anchors, and I'll show you how it works. So the first step is we turn on the vacuum. It's all running well. And then I take my drill and I drill as normal. Oh, 1 second. I didn't have the battery in correctly. Always make sure you give it a good hit before you start. So there's one. And there's 2. So as you can see, it's super quick to drill that, and I'm not getting any problems with dust coming up, and there's no major issues. So I'll just take off this mask so you can hear me a bit clearer. So as you can see, whilst we were doing that, no major dust was coming up. I don't have a pool of dust sitting around the outside. I mean, sometimes you can see a massive mound and you've got to brush that off, and then that's more dust in the hole. That is the cleaning and the drilling done in one simple step. And actually, because you're pulling that dust out, it goes a little bit quicker too. So, next stage, let's do the installation. So, I will take my dispenser, and as you saw, I put in a clean tube of HY170 there. So, what I'm going to do is first of all set it to the continuous function, and we're just going to fill out the dispenser until we see the tube break. So you hear that click there, that's the tube breaking. And we just have to wait for it to go in. And you hear that pop, that's our tube breaking, and we can see the mortar coming to the end there. I've done a little bit too much. So the first cool feature of our dispenser is this smart discard function here on the right. What this means is that it's going to discard exactly the amount of mortar required to make sure that the chemical is mixed and ready to be used. If you don't know, this is a 2-part chemical system, so we have to mix those up in the nozzle. And to make sure it's safe, we've got to use this initial discard before you put it into the fixing. Now, a lot of the times, people on site will either do too much of a discard at the start and waste. I mean, I typically see that people are wasting like 10 to 12% of their tube on this discard. Or the other problem you get is they're not doing this initial discard, and then you're putting chemical into this hole, which isn't mixed properly and isn't going to give you the load you need. So as you can see, I've set it to the smart discard function, and I'm just going to pull the trigger. And we get a nice green light to tell us that that is fully mixed and ready to go. You can even see the color gradient here. That will have used in the range of 6 to 8% of this tube. I'm not sure the exact figure for 170. It varies across our tubes. And as I say, that's because it's a smart feature, so it's always going to mix the amount you need for the specific mortar. So it's really handy, and you're not guessing with just 3 trigger pulls or 4 trigger pulls, not being sure if it's ready to use. So the next stage is you would pull out your phone and use the volume calculator. We can show you how that works, but essentially you go onto it, you select the type of material you're using, the size of the anchor, and then it's going to give you an output value to tell you that for this hole that we've just installed, we need to use a certain amount of milliliters. Now that number of milliliters corresponds to exactly what is on this here. So I know that for this hole, for 90 mil depth and this size we're doing, I need to use 7 milliliters because it told me on the app. So all I do is I set it to 5 and I go 1, 2 for 7. And now this is going to give me exactly the amount of volume I need. So I'll put it in the first hole here and we'll inject. And as you can see, I get a green light. So with that done, all I need to do is take my rod, put it in, and we have a perfect installation. There's just a tiny bit of chemical coming out of the top, but we have very minimal wastage there. Now, what I can also show you on this is we have these continuous functions. So this is where we can just keep dispensing mortar as much as you need. The reason you'd need this is, say you don't want to calculate exactly the volume, say if it's a large hole, or you're trying to work quickly on site and it's not something you always do, you can fill the hole as much as you want. So you just say fill it as is needed, if that's the way you work. And then when that's done, you set it to the repeat mode, and you can just repeat that size every time. So let's say you've drilled 100 holes, and you need to make sure you're getting it optimized. You can get it right with that continuous mode, and then move it to the repeat function, and do it over and over again without having to think on each hole what it needs to be. I can show you here, for example, if we go continuous mode, I'm going to dispense that much, and then if I set to repeat mode, it's just going to do the same thing again, but I'm going to get a green light to tell me it's done. The final thing I want to show you with this dispenser is, let's say we set it to a high volume. I've got 20 milliliters here. And we start injecting, so I'll show you what 20 milliliters look like. So as you can see, it's quite a big line. There we go. So let's say we start installing our anchor. And then halfway through, we let go of the trigger because of a problem. Maybe someone's spoken to you on site, maybe you've been interrupted or you've let go. It's going to give us a red light, which you saw, which tells us this isn't complete. All we need to do is just keep it on the same setting, double tap the trigger, and then it's going to finish that installation with a green light. So what that's done is that even though we were interrupted, we've still delivered the same amount of volume required. This is all part of making sure that your installations are safe and ready to go. So that's a super basic overview of the SafeSet system. As I say, we've got the VC10, we've got our hollow drill bit, and then we've got this dispenser. The reason why this makes us more cost effective is because you're always going to be using the exact amount of volume that you need on the job site. This means you're not having to buy additional tubes to cover the wastage. You're not having huge amounts of overflow. I mean, I've been in some cases where we can see on each hole we're using 40 to 50% more resin than we need to. Here, you're always going to use exactly what's needed. But the other side is you can always be sure it's safe. Let's say you're just filling up the hole as you see it and you're not quite doing enough. The load value that that fixing can take is going to be less than what is required, and you're going to have an unsafe installation. So with SafeSet, we're fast, we're safe, and we're productive. So reach out to us, and we can have a look at your business, and we can say, based on what you're doing on site. If you use this system, this is how much you're wasting currently, this is how much we save. And using the SafeSet system, you'll always be able to see, actually, you can save all of that wastage on the site. And using the Hilti system and the Hilti mortar, you're going to be one of the cheapest solutions out there. So, thanks very much for watching. That's the application. And see you on the next Hilti Live.